Other one, couple of things that I need to touch on before we wrap up, Mick. Julian Araujo, his brother has been on Instagram last night, and I was actually frantically trying to get the grab from Instagram there. It's been on
his cousin.
Is he his cousin?
I don't know.
He was telling to people, he was saying to people on Instagram, I'm his brother, and then people were saying, you're not his, and he was saying brother from another mother. So I thought, God, who knows? But it's the wee guy, he's got in tow, he's been in Glasgow with him, he's been out with him and all that. And he was saying last night he was getting asked.
I'm going to say, sure this is not some sort of wind-up, merchant.
No, I had pictures with him and all that. We did a story on it last night, and he was saying, is your brother staying in Glasgow? And he came back saying there's a very high chance. So is he just getting Celtic fans excited, or should Celtic fans who are falling in love with Rojo, start to get excited at the possibility he might be here next season? I think he's on, from what by all accounts, big money at Bournemouth, isn't he?
Well, listen, this is going to come down to cash. And it may come down to the man himself, because he's got 2 years left at least on his deal in Bournemouth. And he's not on chump change at Bournemouth, I'll put it that way, because it is a guy signed from Barcelona for 9 million quid. So a £9 million signing from Barcelona comes with a hefty wage bill. I'm led to believe it's somewhere north of 65-70 grand a week, wow. which is beyond. Listen, and I say I'm not that nailed down, and it's but that's
even if it's roughly, even if it's in that ballpark.
You're in that ballpark. You're in that 60k a week plus ballpark, and that's the going rate for a backup right back in the Premier League these days. That's scary enough. So you're in that kind of ballpark. So he's got a couple of years left. So for Araujo to stay at Celtic, he's going to need to take a pay cut for a start. So he'd need to negotiate either walk away from 2 years on that kind of money, and say rip up my contract. I wish you the best, or you can sell me for, I don't know, 4 or 5 million quid. And I imagine they'll take. I don't think it costs that much to get him. When it costs £8.5 million, he's not part of their plans.
I could get him for 5, maybe. See.
So maybe so they can afford to buy him, but they wouldn't pay 70 grand a week. That's for sure. Not for a fullback who they've already got a good fullback who's come back from injury. They've already got a World Cup playing fullback in Arthur Johnson. So financially, yeah, it's a tricky one. Listen, if he can say, well, give me a year's wages from Bournemouth and I'll go and I'll take a pay cut, then yeah, but that's not realistic. This guy's got a family to look after, and you can't expect him to do that. And you can't expect Bournemouth just to say, right, we'll just let you go for buttons either. So there's a lot of things that need to happen to get that deal done. Yeah. Listen, what I would say, I think he's performed pretty well. He's an infectious character. I think fans have kind of lapped him up. He's a wee scrapper. I think he's not quite as. I don't think he's quite as offensively effective as Celtic need for that kind of role, if I'm being perfectly honest. At a time when Celtic are struggling for creativity in the flanks, you need their fullbacks to create more. Kieran does at one side, so does Sirachi. I think the right-hand side, he's a wee bit lacking that. He's not one for whipping tremendous balls into the box or hitting the byline and all that stuff. No. So I think for all his defensive abilities are terrific. And I think in Europe especially, it'd be brilliant. I mean, again, but Arthur Johnson was similar when he came, and he's added the kind of attacking aspect to his game, underlapping, overlapping. But I think he lacks in that. So it's a lot of money for a guy who doesn't quite fit the identikit for Celtic fullbacks. Have to be borderline wingers in Scotland.
Aye.
And defensive warriors in Europe. It's a hard gig. It's a hard gig. So I don't know. I know. I mean, people are. For me, the chances are slim of it happening. And listen, you might get to the end of next August window, and he's not been picked up, and get another loan deal for a season or something like that. Then I think, then you never know. So it wouldn't surprise me. He's clearly lapped it up being up here, and he's bought into it. He seems to kind of embrace the madness up here, which is always good.
When you saw him swinging for the crossbar at Ibrox last week, you thought,
yeah, there's embracing the madness and adding to it. So he's done that. He's definitely brought that.
The reason why I asked you that, Mick, is because my first thinking was surely there's no way that's a deal that could be done, and I wondered maybe if you heard into the contrary. But
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot that need to happen. It's a lot of money for a could potentially be a backup right back next season. On Arthur Johnson, but after a year out, I would doubt that's happening.
Aye.